My next guest is a helicopter pilot who witnessed the flash flooding from the air. Armin Budutuki is on the phone right now. Armin, we appreciate your time. You were flying overhead as this landslide occurred. Just take us through what you saw.
Hi, Linda. Thank you for having me. So this morning we had a scheduled flight to the border of China. The place is called Timure. So it was a beautiful day. We flew off from the capital, Kathmandu, and 15 minutes later we were 5 minutes off of the landing place. So as we were flying off above the river, we could see some dust far away. And I was flying with another captain, Captain Subhas. So he pointed out and he asked me if it was a landslide. And as we looked over there, we could see the dust like flying off from the river. And on closer look, we noticed it was a flash flood. So we tried to contact the authorities as soon as possible, but we were inside a gorge, inside a valley. And inside valleys, communication is really hard with the ATC. So we couldn't get in exact contact on that moment. So we went for a recce around the places there. A lot of villages we knew previously swept away. We could see the vehicles that were imported from China. Those were being swept away. And the whole scenario, it was horrendous. It was uncanny, anything like you've ever seen before. We even saw some houses and some trees being swept away, and everything like that. And we could see every infrastructure, all the hydropowers, all the infrastructure, all the roads that were developed by the government being swept away live. And it was a horrendous situation. We tried to contact anybody around, but we couldn't. And we tried to go to the border side, but due to the flash flood, the thick dust smoke had covered the whole visibility. So we tried to divert back. And about 15 minutes later, we were in contact with another airplane that was flying near the vicinity of the flooding. We contacted that guy, and the pilot from the airplane contacted Kathmandu ATC and then relayed our message about how devastating the whole situation was. So Nepal went through a lot this morning.
Yeah, certainly. So the dust was so bad after that landslide that you lost visibility, had to leave the area. Have you been able to return?
Yeah, so as soon as the floods hit, we were right above the flood. We could actually see the dark water from the flood with the debris and the fresh water from the river mixing together. So we were on the side of the flood within like 2 to 3 minutes of it entering Nepal. So we couldn't descend down because the dust was thick down in the landing site, but we were about 1,000 or about 1,500 feet high. So we just diverted back, and then we tried to contact the authorities as soon as possible. And about an hour later, we initiated our rescue missions. Nepalese army, along with Nepalese police personnel, were deployed like within 30 minutes of us reporting. And then in the next hour, there were about 20 Nepalese helicopters that landed on various sites, and we were off for rescue then.
So take us through those rescues. We haven't seen a lot of images of the rescues at this point in time. We saw some cranes moving in to help people that had been swept away by the water. So you're saying the Nepalese army and other local helicopters, commercial pilots like yourself, have been part of the rescue operation. How many people have you been able to rescue?
I couldn't give an exact figure on that, but there are a lot of people that were transported from the dangerous areas to safe areas. And till 6 in this evening, we were transporting doctors, security personnel, as well as other daily supplies that would be necessary for them to at least survive for the time being.
And for those that you've been able to rescue, can you give us a sense of the ages, the nationalities? We know that hundreds of people in the area that have been reported missing are also foreign tourists.
Yes, exactly. Hundreds, I fear even more people have been involved in this horrendous event right now. A lot of people that we could rescue, we brought them back to hospitals. some even back to Kathmandu airport from where people were transported by ambulance. So the situation is really dire in the current scenario.
And you also transported medical officials, doctors, nurses to the region, and I suspect people from the Red Cross and other charity groups. Can you give us a sense of the injuries? Because this was obviously such a horrific, instantaneous flooding event. I can only imagine some of the injuries that you've seen.
Yes, we did transport a lot of doctors, a lot of nurses as well. And this transporting was going up until 6 p.m. this evening. Unfortunately, at about 5:30-ish, the weather turned in bad, so a lot of helicopters were forced to divert back to Kathmandu. And I just got my flight program for tomorrow, and I see a lot of rescue flights happening tomorrow as well. So all of these rescues, all of these bringing the victims back to the base, back to Kathmandu, back to safety is going to continue tomorrow as well. So a lot of work more to be done over here.
So what time will you be back in the air tomorrow? And can you give us some sort of perspective on the extent of the rescue and recovery mission that will take place tomorrow?
So it's scheduled to be around, the helicopters in Nepal, we fly from sunrise to sunset. So as soon as the sun rises, maybe around 6:30-ish, the helicopters are going to take off tomorrow. And the same thing is going to happen tomorrow as well. We're going to take doctors, we're going to take security personnel and bring as many victims as possible back to safety.
We're trying to piece together all of the likely scenarios, and here's what we've sorted, what we know. A magnitude 4.4 earthquake. He was talking about it just a moment ago. Did that cause the landslide, or was the landslide the result, or was the landslide triggering that shaking in the ground? What we do know that the earthquake that was registered was right there near the border of Nepal and China. But we're going to take you on kind of a Google Earth flyover and talk about the thousands of glaciers across this area, some of which tower over 7,000 meters. This part of the world is warming 2 times faster than the global average when we put climate change into context here. So what that's doing is it's destabilizing not only the rock, but also the glaciers. So did we have a slab of ice high up in the Himalayan mountains break free from an earthquake or on its own because of our increasing temperatures in the world? Still being determined, but one thing's for sure, it sent a large destructive wave of water. We're calling it an inland tsunami. That's the best way we can describe it because it gets funneled into the tributaries and eventually into the rivers below. And I want to point out this area. That yellow line right there is the border between China and Nepal. And we've seen a lot of the social media videos coming out of this location. I want to replay it. It is disturbing, but it kind of helps put it into context, the force of the water as it cascaded down. We're talking to a lot of scientists to try and get their take as they analyze the satellite imagery from this location. This video right here, you can see some of the pulverized rock. There's likely ice, certainly plenty of meltwater associated with it. So did it originate from a glacier that broke off? Still to be determined, but the amount of force coming down the mountainside here is evident in all of the videos that we have seen, and it's exacerbated by the steep cliffs and the steep topography, the terrain here that funnels the water down below. We're going to take you a little bit further downstream. This is the river right here that burst its banks. This location, Badur, I may be mispronouncing that, apologies if I did, and we're going to zoom in even closer. This bridge right here is the next video which you'll see that shows the water funneling around that very bend, taking out the infrastructure, wiping out buildings as it does so. There is just so much force. So did the glacier or the rock avalanche that was triggered high up in the Himalayas, did it block this river, allowing for water to pool up behind it? Eventually, the force of that water getting too great for that blockage, and it all came out at once? That's one active scenario that we're monitoring. But when we analyze these videos, analyze the satellite imagery from the region, it is clear that topography, some sort of glacial melt, some sort of triggered landslide had something to do with this torrent of water that came down and caused this destruction. It's heartbreaking to see these videos, Linda.